Hello there and welcome once again to Slam Chat. As always, I am your host, Andrew, and today I am joined with two very special guests, and a Joe, as always. We are joined today by Joe, known as YuGiJoe on YouTube, where he has almost he's more than 3,500 subs now.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just
sorry,
nearly
cheated you out there. He during this pandemic, he sort of played host to some of the largest UK-based online events. I think, is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. I think when it first started out, I think the Brotherhood did some really good attempts to do UK-based events. I think we just overtook them with some of the ones we did over the summer.
Yeah, for sure. And then we're also joined by Phil. He's also I can never pronounce this. Ostardva.
No. No, that was deliberate. No, Ostardva, Ostardva.
Good, on Twitch. That's where he streams a lot of Final Fantasy. In his spare time, he pretty much runs the competent side of the Nottingham YuGiOh scene. So, actually, I'm first going to start a question with you, Joe. Where can I get the Oxford... Oh, no, it's the Cambridge... Which was the playmat? Yeah, the
Oxford University TCG Society playmat.
I love it. It's so cool. On all your profiles, it's just like... It's so clean. I like it so much. It's like when people wear those sort of like, you know, sports jerseys for like college football or whatever.
So this is an interesting one. So there wasn't a TCG Society at Oxford until I arrived. And in my first year, I decided that it needed one. So I started out with some friends. We decided, I think in second or third year, that we needed some playmats. So we took we followed all of the official university policy, which means we have to use the official Oxford blue in the playmat.
Ooh.
And then one of them, which is probably the one you see the most, is just the OUTS logo. So Oxford University TCG Society, we just called it OUTS. Cool. And there's also another version which has one of the more famous buildings from Oxford on it, which is the Radcliffe Camera. So every now and again you might see that one as well. Oh. But I think there are about 15 in the world.
Oh my god, this is a super limited supply. Wow.
Yeah. So I've got 3 of them. I think I've got one I could potentially let go if you're interested.
Mate, you should put it as a prize for the next YOS. That would be very interesting.
I'm not sure people want it that much.
I don't know. I think it's pretty luxury item. But yeah, so moving on to the YOS, you've so as you mentioned that you've run 5 of them now, including the solo.
Yes.
So was this basically your single-handed doing, or was it like a group of friends that you thought, you know, there isn't really much, UK-based ones that, you know, I need to fill this void and this gap?
So when it began, it's kind of hard to remember if it was just my idea or if I joined Aaron on it. But very early on, I realized I couldn't just run my own tournament without some help. So Aaron Ray, who has been heading up CCG in the past and has had a lot of experience with judging and helping to run previous events, I brought him on board very early on to just help me with a lot of the decision-making process. But it wasn't really like me and some friends. It was kind of just like, I was thinking, hey, nothing big's happening and I'm bored. So I kind of want to see some events that are more than like 40 people happening. And I think there were a few cases that happened like in like Central Europe and over in the US, but we didn't really see anything here in the UK. So I wanted to try and put something out there.
Well, yeah. So the LCS, is one of the most successful online events, but that's been very much, you know, getting up at the crack of dawn to play these games. It's just a bit of a pain in the ass, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I very much enjoy. Everyone seems to get quite hyped about them, and the solo event I thought was really nice and good because it was trying to give something back to these companies that are kind of like really struggling at the moment.
Yeah. So just for context, most of the YOS events are normally single day or like weekend events where people just pay entry and the entry goes into the prize pool with a small fee taken to support the judge team, because obviously we can't just have like free judges. We want to be able to support people. The difference for the solo was solo stands for Save Our Locals Online. We wanted to run an event where we'd give all of the entry fees to local stores that were really struggling at the moment, and I think we had 5 local stores who we got in touch with, who said they desperately needed some money. So I'm glad we were able to raise, I think it was just over £250 for them.
That's nice. Yeah, it's really good. And then obviously, so Phil, you're on the other side. You're just doing the local sort of event, but I don't think I've ever been to a more structured and more well-run sort of locals as your sort of online remote locals.
Yeah, like, so I think, so for background, like, I've been doing local tournaments for, I think it is about 12 months now. And I started in sort of like, I think it was like 6 to 8 man, and the maximum like locals I've had are like 20, which is fine for locals, but I've done it at like 3 separate venues, but for like 2 separate stores or like 2 separate owners. But because like I used to be a primary school teacher, I just kind of see tournament organizing as sort of, like organizing my classroom. And
Do you
see
like YuGiOh players as children? That's
like,
what I'm
literally,
hearing.
yeah. Except that you never see a child at YuGiOh, but that's besides the point. But no, yeah, and it's about just like, without getting to like about my old job, it's like about having like expectations. So when I took over locals the first time, we basically had the TO. It was kind of a meme that people could shout over the TO, and like, if the TO was like time on the round, that nobody listened. And when I took over, I was like, fine, I'll just sit here silent and I won't progress the game state until the tournament, until you guys shut up. And it just worked. You set a precedent, and I run my tournaments like I used to run my classrooms. And and people hated it to start with, but it genuinely works. Like I had really weird things as a teacher where I'd be like, I fucking love Dog Whisperer. Like, literally, Dog Whisperer is what I used to like manage children's behavior, and I did it at fucking YuGiOh. So it'd be like, I'm just going to stand here and be quiet and say nothing until you guys stop talking, and you hear it. People go, "Oh, Phil's waiting, start talking." It's like, I want to get to the next round. Can you just fucking shut up? And it's like herd mentality, and it works. But then, like, yeah, as it just went on, I like organizing things. Like, I said this to someone at work earlier. Someone might put like loads of materials in front of me and say build a boat, and I might like be really good at directing people how to build a boat, but I can't build one. No. So it's kind of like with YuGiOh. Like, I'm not a very good YuGiOh player, but I'm really good at running tournaments just because of organization.
Have you found it's been easier organizing online events?
It's been, in terms of like the logistics, it's been exactly the same, because Discord's really great, because I just set up voice rooms as tables, and setting permissions and having landing areas. It's more difficult with the motivation, I find, like motivating people to play, because there's only so much, like, literally. So the Discord that I use, and I'm sure like Joe uses and stuff, and all ones that we all use, I tried to replicate local. So I tried to have a voice room where you could just like chill out if you weren't dueling. I tried to set up so each duel room had 5 people maximum, so that you could spectate a table, that kind of stuff. But like when you're sitting at home in your pants, there's so much you can do. And so it's been pretty easy. The only other thing, it's kind of normal, like in all of the chats and on Facebook pages I'm on, I have to regularly nag people to pre-reg or to pay entry or whatever it might be. But I've been doing online locals in both lockdowns in the UK, so since March basically, and I've done it for 2 different stores, and I think it was difficult the first time because the store wasn't as engaged and I was doing it on my own. But the second time, the store has been on me 100%, like backing me and saying, literally, do whatever you want with what we have in the store. So it's kind of relative to how much the store you're behind backs you.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think a lot of the stores have been very scared of the online stuff, because it's very difficult to these people aren't coming into your shop buying packs of sweets and crisps and whatever anymore, or sleeves. So it's that sort of level of we can't tell how much money we're going to actually make from these events. It's very scary, and I understand that. On sort of attendance, Joe, how have you found attendance for the online events have been? I know the sort of the first ones were actually very popular. And 120, was it the first one? The first YOS?
No. So I think we hit 87 was our peak one. We initially started with like a the super optimistic view of, oh, we can probably take 256 people, but the attendance just wasn't there for a few reasons. When we first kicked it off, the format wasn't very developed, and I think like we managed to pick up a few extra people along the way. So every now and again, it's just kind of like word of mouth helps to boost things a bit. But there's still that, there's still that stigma, there's still that issue with playing online for various reasons. Like, first of all, if I look at it as a player, I've put hundreds, thousands of pounds into physical playing cards or trading cards. If I can't use those in an online setting that's as popular, then I haven't really earned that match time.
Well, I suppose that then brings up the sort of the point of dueling book versus remote duels. So obviously, Phil, all the locals are originally were dueling book, and then we've moved on to remote duels as that's sort of been more structured and been flushed out with the rules. And Joe, you still use dueling book. Are you potentially wanting to move on to a remote duel sort of setup, or is that more difficult?
So there are various challenges. There are quite a lot of features of dueling books that help you to deal with difficult, sticky ruling scenarios that we've largely wanted to avoid. So, and there's quite a lot of things that people highlighted early on with the early days of remote duels. Of people could just like, oh, if you can't see the hand, they could just put Exodia in the hand, or they could start like adding side deck cards. The really good thing that's helping remote duels now is there haven't been many documented cases of people cheating. People have either not been cheating or been so slick about it that they've got away with it.
Yeah.
In most scenarios.
Yeah, we had that. We have that, like, so for Nottingham and where I've done it, it kind of started with DB and EDO or Ignis or whatever it was at the time,
Yeah.
and literally it's been remote duels for second lockdown, because I just said, look, if we want it, because you can't. I think we must all know this, but basically, Konami won't let stores hand out OTS price support for dueling for simulator based dueling.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why I said to the locals guys, like, if you want OTS 14, if you want those super polys, if you're going to have to remote duel. So we all committed, and I gave people 2 weeks. But to go on that, back on the topic, like with cheating and stuff, it's something that's really hard to disprove. Like I've had it. Can't say that I've had it, but I've had basically, someone going, X person has always had Monster Reborn at the perfect time. I'm like, I get it. I get it. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's a one-off. I actually had recently a case where somebody now disconnected for more than a few minutes and came back and had the perfect hand to deal with somebody's board. and sadly, like, that person went on to win that tournament, but then they also won another tournament consecutively after the tournament they were accused of cheating. So, and I'm sitting there going, I think it's just RNG. But that is one thing I've had to deal with, is just a little bit of salt of people going, oh, they're cheating. And I'm like, I've actually, you're saying about like side decks and stuff, we do a bit more like house rules where I say your side deck has to be on screen, your hand has to be on screen. If you AFK or disconnect for more than a few seconds, it's a game loss. Your cards have to be on the screen at all times.
But that's the weird thing about all online play, is if there's no way to have a simulator where you can disconnect and then continue your play. There has to be some kind of punishment for the person who disconnects, unless they're already in a losing situation or they've got guaranteed game on board.
Yeah, that's so sad, because it's like, if you got bad Wi-Fi, you've lost. But I mean, reality, what are you going to do? Either a simulator can't particularly save each individual game for every game that crashes, because some people are just rage quitting. So it's not attainable.
I nearly lost out on the doing well at the big Dice Cup League thing.
Oh yeah.
When I DC'd against Niall. And literally, we were thankfully on like turn 2, and he was nice enough to reset the game state. But if we had been like 2 turns later, it would have just been immediate game loss.
Yeah, and if you were against someone who was potentially less friendly with you, then they're gonna completely shark you. So it's a no win really.
I missed that format. That was really good.
I think we all kind of wish to get back to real Yu-Gi-Oh, because I think where we kind of left off, like, when I think back to actual proper gaming again, it was what do you call it again, Joe? It was the Switch. Switch meta, the 2019 TOS meta or format, or whatever. With
I mean, the last time we played in IRL events properly, like before COVID World, it was Shaddolls and Spirals, right? Was
yeah.
the big
No, that
Oh
was
yeah, you
nice,
picked up
actually.
Spiral.
Yeah, and then I dropped it.
Yeah, I don't miss that actually.
Hey, Windows a fair card. I don't know what you're talking about.
So I asked this question last week to Niall and Tristan about how the Corona is sort of pushing the meta forwards at quite an alarming rate. Are you finding that, especially for Joe with the tournaments, every tournament has like a different sort of meta and sort of breakdown at the end of it? Because I actually noticed on your most recent breakdown, it was hugely varied.
Yeah. So I think definitely agree that there's been a lot of sort of fast forwarding, if you will, in terms of how the meta develops. Dueling Book has always been very far ahead of physical play because it takes a lot of time and money to put together decks in real life. And you just don't have that restriction as soon as you take it into online play, where you have free access to every single card. So certainly from LCS and YOS events, we've seen the meta emerges pretty much instantaneously after a new set drops. The diversity we've had from recent events has really been the fact that our events aren't like 200 people or 1,000 people big. And you've got, like 6, 7, 8 rounds, which decides the winner, or a bit more with Top Cut. But I think diversity in decklist comes from the fact that there's that reduced number of rounds and players, but also if you look at the UK scene, there are always people who just want to take something ridiculous into Top Cut.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. I definitely feel that energy. But it's. I think that's probably comes from people wanting to almost sort of stand out. You know, you either be a meta ship and you follow the meta and you try and play as well as possible with that hand.
Well, I mean, if you look at the format now, Virtual World easily dominates the format as the number one meta deck for the last couple of weeks. Do you want to be one of 6 people in potentially top 8 with a Virtual World deck where nobody takes any notice of your list, or do you want to be the one Infernoble player?
Yeah, that makes. I hear that. Yeah, and then having
so much power and fame.
Have a deck profile and just explain why. Oh, I run 2 desires as opposed to 3 desires, and I think that's really the correct choice because if you think, it's just a bit. Yeah, people like that sort of the standout-ish. But if you think about it, any real person event, that's never been a case. Like there's been the odd case of a random person getting into the top, 32 with a spam level 3 deck or whatever it was. He got top 8, didn't he?
Oh, second place, I think that was.
Was that Milan? I always go back to that.
Level 3 spam. I thought that was second place.
Yeah, either way, but but in reality, every top cut, every sort of winner has been in the last recent years has been something very hugely meta, like Orcust or Striker or something like that. It doesn't really happen like that IRL. So it's weird that people were then given the opportunity to not spend money on the actual cards would go, I'm going to choose something completely wild. So I don't know. It's an odd one to me.
I think you probably want to compare like online meta like that a bit more closely with regionals, because you would see the occasional random deck in like a regional top cut, right? Like Cyframes makes the occasional top cut.
Yeah, I remember regionals last year. That was like prime Orcust and Lunar Light Tiger format. And I think it was, and we saw Madolche come second in that format, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd just like to say I hated that regionals because I was playing Lunalight Orcus and I matched with Madolche 3 rounds. And there were 3 Madolche players in the entire fucking tournament.
Yeah, I remember that.
I played every single one of them.
Oh dear.
I'm just trying to find the LCS sort of breakdown to see if there's any comparison to a larger event.
But I think it's interesting at the moment because of like the deck building process is just so much easier. Like in terms of if you're going to take something to a regional or a large physical tournament, it involves buying the cards, it involves all that malarkey, and whereas online you can literally just build a deck every 2 minutes. You can just download a profile, so it's just much easier to play around.
Yeah. So I've got the LCS 8 top 16 in front of me. 7 virtual world is the like primary thing. 3 zoo. Shall I share it in the?
Yeah, sure. I mean that does sound a bit more like a what you'd kind of expect an in-person event, but I mean the odd dyno and stuff like that. But as you said, virtual world really topping that sort of top cut really. I actually don't remember who went to win this. I imagine it was a virtual world deck.
Was this one Tristan or Gabe? They've been winning like everything.
I'm pretty sure Tristan
I don't think it was.
came 16th in this one.
Yeah.
I think he just lost out, and I think it was maybe yeah. Those two seem to be just popping up bloody everywhere, which is very amusing.
The problem is they always get paired against each other.
I mean, they're basically the same person when it comes to like the deck building and actually entering the tournaments and stuff. I think even down to like the prize support they split.
Yeah.
So moving on, I wanted to compare you two guys, especially because Phil, you do all your stuff on Twitch. Actually, I didn't really do a very good job explaining that in the intro. Do you mind just like giving us a recap?
Yeah, so I've been streaming on Twitch for about it would be coming up to like 3 years in early next year. I sort of started Twitch just as like a stress release hobby, really, and I didn't stream anything particular. It was just old games that I liked, and didn't have a view count. And then I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 MMORPG for 8 years plus, and I just started purely streaming that, and I got into like the metadata of Twitch and all that malarkey to really delve into it. I'm on 878 followers right now on Twitch, taking a touch of a quiet break, but in my peak, I stream between 2 to 3 days a week, 3 to 4 hours at a time, sometimes marathon streams, all that kind of stuff. I mean, with Final Fantasy 14, any MMORPG, so WoW, Guild Wars, that sort of stuff, you can do casual content, you can do daily dungeons, you can do like end game raiding, like really hardcore end game meta stuff, and I kind of go to the casual to hardcore side. So I find I've done YouTube as well in the past. I painfully, and I don't actually think either you or Joe know this, I used to have, and I deleted it, a painful "Hi guys" sort of YouTube channel. Doing the peace sign at events in London, sort of shit.
I want to find that now.
I need to find some mirrors of this.
But yeah,
it's deleted. But so I kind of done a bit of both. But yeah.
So the comparison, obviously, Joe, you've been doing a lot of your streaming of the YOS events all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Why is that?
So really, it's because the YOS was built as in addition to just being like big events, we wanted something that would push forward the YouTube channel a bit more. So streaming it on a Twitch platform as well means I'll have to diversify my offering, and I just don't have the time to do Twitch and YouTube at the moment.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Twitch requires a lot more, not effort. That's completely the wrong word because it isn't right. So Harris Heller described this, and Harris Heller is on YouTube, and he's also a very good Twitch streamer. In that, with Twitch, you can only promote yourself whilst you're live. So for Joe promoting tournaments and promoting YuGiOh, if you only did it on Twitch, you could only promote the joy of the tournament and the people involved whilst the channel is live. Maybe if people go and watch VODs, videos on demand, but nobody does that on Twitch, really. Whereas if you produce YouTube content, if you have a Twitter, where you do wacky things and retweet people and do Me Too mood on Twitter and relatable stuff, you're always live. Your content is always live for people to watch. So YouTube is I don't say a better platform, but a much more accessible platform. It's always online. Therefore, it's more suitable because the moment you do a live stream on YouTube, people will watch that video because YouTube is made as an on-demand video platform, not a live stream platform.
Yeah, exactly. That's one really nice aspect to it. I'll give you access to my folder of Perry pictures.
Oh god, that sounds really risque.
You've got the news.
Oh no,
you can all have it.
Does he have an OnlyFans? Oh my god.
Enjoy. Clearly I need to start one.
I'm going to direct a question to you, Mr. Connors.
Hello.
As a consumer of content, YouTube or Twitch otherwise, Yu-Gi-Oh related wise, what have you been sort of gearing yourself towards, like especially during this COVID stuff? Because obviously there's not a lot of deck profiles that you can in-person deck profiles that you can watch, or events, top tables that you can watch. So what have you been sort of watching at home?
I really like very novel content. Like I started watching God, what's his name? Gage. What's Gage's YouTube channel called? Nim. Yeah. This was before lockdown, but I found like the sealed only stuff was super interesting because it hadn't been done before. And then I kind of fell off of his content after posting that. Ruggles was I'd been saying to Andy for like ages, if you could make like a YouTube video of just going to locals and events and stuff and chilling out and make it into like a really well produced vlog, you'd get a shitload of views. And it came out, and I was proved right.
Yeah. Well, I think he also had a sort of following because he started with his old collection and kind of build up from there. And he, I mean, dropped a lot of money on it. I remember like watching one of those videos where he just like bought like a playset of Imperm at its like peak, and I was like, "Oh, big man."
he just buys literally like everything. But during lockdown, I don't know. Deck profiles I don't really watch unless I'm actually building the deck, in which case I will just like type in, deck profile for whatever deck. And I don't know, I've been watching like I just like Lithium MVT, the standard easy to watch type videos.
So, Joe, you've been trying to obviously keep up with. You used to very much enjoy using the top decks of like regionals, and I think that was quite nice as a regional level, finding out where people were at. Obviously, those aren't happening, so you've done a lot of sort of like more remote locals. Is that right? Sort of.
Yeah. So, Top Deck has kind of transitioned to this instead of being top cut from regionals, as you say, to just being basically first or second from locals, and got some Yu-Gi-Oh Day deck profiles recorded. Still trying to do that thing of get the additional info, so the like player interviews where possible, cover siding strategies as well, because I think they get lost in a lot of deck profiles still. But it kind of follows the same format as before.
I have a follow-up question that actually just came from one of my housemates. Niall asks, what is it that you look for to make a deck profile? Like from a tournament, which one do you pick? Which one do you like? How do you weed out the weaker lists? Do you just go for like the ones that get a higher place?
Where's my deck profile, bro? What the fuck?
Yeah, and I'll also follow that up with why didn't you use my Salamangrate list from last year's Nats? Because it was clearly the best deck list.
So Top Deck has always been about picking people out from Top Cut. The offering when I started it was basically if you made Top Cut at any event with more than like 30 people, then I'll take your list. So I tried to do that throughout, and sometimes it's been difficult because I've had like more than 10 submissions in a week, and then it becomes basically untenable because people just won't watch 10 deck profiles on my channel in a week. Now it's kind of evolved to the point at which things are so generically slow. I just take the submissions wherever they come from, as long as there's a reasonable number of people, and you try to keep it from a fairly competitive environment, so you kind of want people who've played against the meta. But sometimes that just doesn't happen. Sometimes, like with a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh Day stuff, people weren't playing against meta, so I tried to just sort of take whoever came first from those ones. But I think in the future it's gonna, as we get more and more people playing remote duel events and then potentially back to real life events, it will become more back towards those larger events, whoever makes Top Cut. So it is fair to say that you kind of want to pick decks that are more interesting because they generate more views, and like you're putting a finite amount of time into each video, so you'd rather pick the ones that people want to watch.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the most sort of recent Top Deck videos. So like the Invoke Dogma, which had the wand. What was the wand called? I can't remember now.
The Wonder Wand.
Wonder Wand. So that's sort of got about 441 views, as compared to the Tri Brigade, which got nearly 3K views. And just because it's like not many people have been doing well with Tri Brigade, so obviously people have been so much more interested with it.
Well, I mean, that's literally it. Like, Invoke Dogma has been around for months now, so people are kind of familiar with the deck. Literally, like the main thing that Jared did with that deck was turn it into a super consistent list by having all of the draw cards in the world in that deck. Ben, who comes onto my channel a lot, or Dilemma as his YouTube channel.
I was going to ask because he's quite famous for the pile deck. I saw another sort of large event call it the pile decks, and it had obviously the Numeron engine and the and all that sort of stuff, which is it's really cool to be fair.
Yeah, so Ben's one of these like he's one of these super creative players. He tries to take engines that he just knows are busted and fit them into any sort of workable deck. So Tri Brigade, the whole obsession was that the trap gave you like a banish and a monster on field. Pile was just the concept that Dragoon is busted, the Numeron engine is busted. You've got all these other cards that just say put a negate on board that don't conflict. So just play them all together and see what happens. And he's really flourished recently because he's joined the Team Syndicate guys, who are like some of the top players on DB.
Oh right.
So they've all been working together on like Buster Blader, Pile. It's going to be really interesting to see what they come up with next, but they're definitely some people to keep an eye on.
And Phil, obviously, we're back on Twitch. What have you found that you've had an increase with obviously people being at home, potentially working from home, and so have more time to be spending on screens? Have you found an increase in sort of viewership, or just like offhanded people like dropping in or whatever like that?
Yeah, so the amount of people either working from home, furloughed, or don't have jobs, like people are coming in. So normally on the days that I stream and the times that I stream, so I normally will stream on like weekend mornings, like when I wake up. And so that gets the American late night audience or like American overnight audience, and then it kind of transitions as my stream goes through. It transitions into UK European waking up audience. It works really nicely. But when I do during the week streams, it's always like I'll do it after work at about 7 p.m. and it's because have other people got home from work, have other people eaten, so it's a lot slower. But it definitely picked up in COVID because people are already home, people are already on Twitch. Or if I had a day off, which I have had a few over COVID, or I've been furloughed, then people are just at home watching. People are on the internet more. Like I was saying earlier about like when you do Twitch, you have to do something else to cultivate your online presence. You can just do Twitch, but if you're not tweeting, if you're not putting your videos onto YouTube, your presence is dead when you're not live. So like there are people who are more active on Twitter as well. Like on people are more active on Discord servers. So I'd say but it's a catch-22 because other people's channels are also more active. But it's definitely been good for me. I guess the main thing as well is the one thing I don't know how I never made much money from YouTube, and obviously don't know really the game now, but I'd say that money has gone down on Twitch because people don't have the disposable income anymore. So it is much more of a social communal thing for me than it is a money making exercise because people don't have the money to spare.
Joe, can I ask about Perry?
Yes.
I don't know the deep lore of the YuGiJoe channel, obviously, but
nobody knows.
Wait, who is Perry? What's he doing
Perry?
there?
Okay. So I think I've only ever told the story in like one video in my life.
Nice.
So a few years ago, I got together with my at the time girlfriend. And for Christmas, she thought it would be fun to just get me something random. So she got me an inflatable dinosaur called Perry. He wasn't called Perry initially. I was just like, I need to give him a good name. And I won't call him Terry because Terry the Tyrannosaur does sound good, but I have a friend called Terry, so that would be bad.
Yeah.
So Perry sounds similar to Terry, and that stuck. Where he actually comes into the channel is at the same time I was doing a lot of buying and selling of cards on the UK and Europe trading group. So in every single post, Perry would be there, like pushing the product and selling it. And it would be Perry who's selling the cards, and people would buy them from Perry.
I see.
And that sort of cemented my position in that trading group. And as a result, he sort of earned a position on the channel where he's just sort of in the occasional video. I think I put him in my
He's in the
one of my
intro.
ban
He's
list
in the
videos.
logos and everything. He's everywhere.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, he's in the banner, he's in the logo.
Well, I suppose that's is the sort of associations. If people see that on YouTube, they go, "Oh, it's that guy from the trade group or whatever." It's that's useful.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And he's also in my tokens. I've got I think like 5 tokens with Perry on them.
Oh, some more stuff to give away at the next iOS. This is a really good prize
Actually,
pool.
someone asked for one of them for the to go into the solo prize pool, and then I sort of caved in. So
Oh my god!
someone else is going to have one now.
I can't. You gave one away, did you?
Well, so I still need to actually ship it out because I've just been sorting out some extra stuff. But yeah,
Could
there's
you
going to be a
imagine?
Perry token and another pair of hands.
What's more valuable, an ultimate Dark Claw or a
Or a Perry
Fairy
token.
token? Yeah.
Well, how many Dark Claws are there in the world? A few hundred,
it's
few
so
thousand?
true. That's so true. Limited stock. I also wanted to
Yeah.
ask, talking about old YouTube video channels, there is another YugiJoe, isn't there? As in channel-wise.
Hmm.
Because I
there are a
found
few.
this today when I was doing a little bit of an intro research stuff. And I'm not going to lie, I think I prefer the intro there, man.
And well, in my other one,
And
the
the
one where I
other,
literally say YugiJoe.
yeah, and there's all the animation, and I can see you in a green screen, and you've been comped out, and it's amazing. I love it.
Sounds top tier.
So wow, that takes me back. So that was also back at uni. Before my YouTube channel focused on Yu-Gi-Oh, I was primarily focusing on Warhammer 40k.
Oh yeah.
That was my big thing. So I would do mostly Necrons and Tau. I would do tactic videos that discuss kind of concepts that people didn't touch upon. So it's like how much space can each of your units attack into? What's the like kill rate of an individual unit? And then a points versus kill rate was something that you didn't see a lot of on YouTube at the time. So I did a lot of stuff on that. But my channel was so diverse. Like it wasn't that. It was like that, a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh, a little bit of just random sketches and stuff. And I kind of figured at some point I have to settle on a key thing to focus on. So I started doing some Yu-Gi-Oh videos because I got into it more. And like deck profiles were gathering like thousands of views, whereas like videos that took me multiple days to produce on Warhammer Tactics were generating like a few hundred. So it just wasn't worth the effort to stay in that more diversified space. So I figured shrink down the channel offering, but focus in on an area that I really enjoy. So
Yeah.
that's how I ended up as YugiJoe. But to answer the original question, before I changed my channel branding to YugiJoe, back when it was all called Zach Carnage.
Oh, that's
thought-
the DB name. That makes
Yeah, that's
sense.
the TV name, and that's that. So if you actually want to access my channel, it's youtube.com/user/Zach Carnage. But so that was the original channel name, and I wanted to test the waters with like a pure Yu-Gi-Oh offering. So I created the YugiJoe concept, and that's got the funky intro and stuff. And it performed really well, but then I basically decided, look, that channel's got like, I had like 100 or something subscribers at the time. So I figured there's no point jumping back and forth between these things. I've just got to pick the one that does the best. And then I vamped up the Zach Carnage channel and rebranded.
No, that's good. Well, I think we'll wrap this up, but like first time because we actually haven't got a ban list, and I feel free content season and all that. I will go around and ask the new people what they think about what they think the ban list will bring. So Phil, what do you reckon?
Engage to one, please.
Engaged to one as a striker player, of course. And Joe,
Is it what I think or what I want?
do both. Start with think.
Okay, so what I think will be hit is I think True King of All Calamities, if it's popular in the remote duel extravaganza, I think that will get banned, and I'm really hoping that Smoke Grenade gets banned.
Yes.
But my big thing, the thing that I would absolutely love, is I want Harp Horror to 1.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, another big Orcas player. Yeah.
That's what I think we'll see. It's been I've seen like a Simo. I saw it on Simo's where he was literally like every mid-range deck at the moment that used to be tier 0. He was like, oh yeah, let's have Stalio back. Let's have Engage.
No,
back.
not that
He's just trying to return Eternal format, which is not what we need. Whereas Harp to 1 is good.
Up to 1, I think is fair, but ban Babel. I fucking hate Babel.
No,
That's literally
hate
like
Babel.
the gimmick of the deck.
I know, and I hate it.
that is the fairest card in the deck because you can just hit it with any spell trap removal.
No, yeah, but like, oh, you can say that about anything. You can say that literally about anything. Harp is fair because you can DD grow it. Oh, sick! Such a fair card. No, oh, okay, good. Anyway, right. I'm angry. I always seem to end these things. I fucking get angry. Just. Oh, good. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming on. That's been, as always, a pleasure. And thank you for listening. If you have listened. But it's a weird thing to say because if they haven't listened, they wouldn't be here.
Do you have a 44 club equivalent?
Oh, what?
A 44 club equivalent?
No, what's that?
So 44 club is all the people who hang around till the end of the videos of How Ridiculous.
Oh, right.
So that's their special club. So you've got to have your own special club.
Oh,
People who hang around to the end.
Yeah, and you have like 2 experts on branding these types of videos.
Yeah, you're
man.
right. I mean, the 44 Club is called Quinn, and and we love him very much.
Thanks, Quinn.
Yeah,
Quinn.
Flames U2K. You might see him looking at your judge calls. On
Oh
TV.
yeah, he's the Phantom
He's
of
around.
DB. But lovely. All right, thank you so much, guys, and I will see you later, nerds. Cool.
Cheers.